Hey guys, just got out of bed. 3 a.m. Always 3, right? Anyway, uh, I had a dream, and a lot happened after that. So, I was going to tell you the dream. It's a past life dream. So, it starts off, I'm with Alex Jones, and at my old house in Chatham here, where I grew up in this lifetime. And Alex Jones was the colonel in like the Civil War, okay? And I was a gray coat. I was gray coats or whatever they are. Anyway, um, uh, I don't know much about it. This is just from my dreams. I don't know much about the Civil War and American history and all that. Like, I know what happened. I know stuff, some stuff, but not a lot. Anyway, I was a guy and I dressed in normal clothes, and I was like a citizen, I guess, that joined the war. And we had to take out, we had to go find these guys that were dug in. Not so much dug in, but they were hiding out in the woods or hiding out there. But in the dream, it was my railroad track. It was railroad tracks. I was on the railroad tracks, me and this girl. And she was dressed like Little House on the Prairie girl. And anyway, so we get these, we can see bad guys far away, not real far, but far away, and like yards, like football field away, and or more. And we got these like slingshots. You pull them back, and you launch them. You launch them up. You pull them back, and you launch them. You put like a rock in there, and you launch it. This is what we had, and this is what we're doing on the railroad tracks at night, trying to hit these guys with these rocks, these big rocks. And so I shot one off, and it took off, flew over his head and missed. So we cranked it down, and we pulled it back, and thump, we let it go again. It was sort of like a mortar, but a really bad one. You know how they used to launch things, like fling it at the castle back in the sword days? It was like that, but more of a launcher. Anyway, I pulled it back the second time, launched it, and it came down and killed the guy. And we're all like, yeah, but we couldn't, there was other ones out there, and we had to go find them. So Alex Jones got one of the volunteers to go out there and find the bad guys. And I'm like, well, I'll do it. So, and the girl decided to come with me to do it. And so, but we had to do like cloak and dagger, like real stealthy. So it was nighttime, and we're walking along, real slow, step by step in the weeds, alongside the railroad tracks. And we saw a guy crouched down, hiding in the weeds. He didn't hear us coming up behind him. And then the girl I was with, she jumps out like a cat through the air, has a knife in her hand, and comes down on the back of him and basically stabs him in the neck, the girl. And I'm like, holy shit. And so she killed that guy. Then we kept on walking and walking and walking. And there was another guy hiding in the weeds, and he was closer to me. And I'm like, all hand signals. We never talked because we give our position away. Anyway, I got as close to him as I could, snuck up as close as I could, real quiet, and then just lunged at him as fast and hard as I can, and I ended up killing him. And all we did was just use a knife. And so I killed him. And then we were searching for more people, and we were up high on some gravel, like at least a meter, 2 meters high on gravel. and we're coming back towards the opposite way. And then as we're coming the opposite way, the girl was on my left, closer to. So I'm up on a high ground on gravel, and we're on the railroad tracks, and the railroad tracks are running through here, which is my backyard. And then I stopped us. I'm like, stop. And we both stopped, and two black guys that looked like slaves, they were running, and we were getting ready to kill them, and we're like, no, there's slaves running, right? And then we didn't do nothing. They jumped through the train cars and ran away. A train came some point and parked and dropped its cargo off. So the cargo train was sitting there, and the two people ran through and jumped and ran away. And we're like, whoa. And as we were watching the two people, that's when we spotted my neighbor, my neighbor in the real life was my next door neighbor in my real life at this, where I lived, where this dream's taking place, was a real asshole. He killed everything. He shot sparrows out of a tree, raccoons, possums, turtles, everything that lived, he killed it and ate it. Or he just killed it for the sake of killing. And he did a bunch of shit to me. I get into that, but it's not part of it right now. And so I hated his guts. I even tried to, almost off him one night, but I didn't do it. And then that was real life. But anyway, the slave guys ran through the train. We were up high, and as we were watching the slaves run through between the train cars to get away, that's when we spotted my neighbor sitting down there. And he was like a captain or something. A captain or a colonel or something. And we're like, holy fuck, is this the main guy, right? And so we snuck up close as we could. And then all of a sudden I knew at this time a train was coming, right? I knew it because I always watch the trains go by in my backyard. So I knew a train was coming. And the light from the train would light up the whole area, right? The whole area. Now, asshole wouldn't know that, right? He wouldn't know that because it's my environment. So I knew what was coming. He didn't know what was coming. I knew the train was coming. We just had to wait. I'm trying to tell a girl beside me, wait. But I couldn't talk to her because the guy was like right there. I'm like, wait. We just sit here and wait for 5-10 minutes. The train will come, light up the whole area, and we can fucking find out what's going on. Okay? She wouldn't wait. This little girl, she was like Little House on the Prairie girl. She slowly turns towards the guy, and she's right on the edge of where we're higher, like 2 meters higher. And the neighbor guy, the captain guy, he's facing the opposite direction. And all of a sudden I go, she's going to jump for it. She's going to jump. And I go, well, as soon as she jumps, I'll jump out there with her and we'll both take him out at the same time because this guy's fucking crazy killer. And I want a piece of his ass too. So all of a sudden she's sitting there and she jumps like a frog, like a cat, right up in the air, comes down on top of him and stabs him in the neck. And when she stabs him in the neck, I look at her knife because I jump up too, but I jump lower. She jumps high and I jump lower to get in there in case he reacts because this guy's big, mean, and tough. And as I stab her in the neck, she stabs him. Her knife is a bunch of pencils. She's got pencils in her hand. She stabs him. There's like 10 pencils stuck in his neck. And then I land, she's on top of his head more or less. He reacts, he's got pencils stuck in his neck with her fist hanging on pencils. She's like that. he takes his arm and goes like this. He takes the weapon, he goes like this, and he's going to stab her like that off his back or from behind or something. I'm thinking like that. And like that. He's going to stab her like that. He goes to stab her. I come in between his blade and her, and I get stabbed in the ass by him. And I look, and I'm stabbed in the ass, and he's got a bunch of pencils in his hand. And then I'm like, okay, we gotta do this guy. And then I grab him and by the neck, and I pull back the neck, and I just, and as I'm stabbing his neck, cutting his throat, he's got a bunch of pencils in it. They're pencils in my hand, and I'm stabbing him with pencils. And then he drops dead. I got a hole in my ass, and then we go back and we tell Alex Jones. And Alex Jones is like real happy. He goes, we got this guy. And Alex Jones is like the captain or lieutenant or something. And Alex Jones is really happy that we got this guy and we killed him. And then that was a dream. I woke up right there. And immediately I'm with Christ. Christ is sitting in a chair. Or I think he's sitting in a chair, but he's there. And I ended up talking to Christ, what the hell was that dream about? And I'm telling him we were shooting people with, I told him the dream basically. And he's like, oh, I know. And he goes, you did a good job. You got the job done. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I got the job done. And he's acting like he's proud of me for killing these people. He goes, you got the job done. That's what you got to do. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, well, that was your past life. And I'm like, really? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, back in the Civil War days. He goes, that was your past life. And I'm like, holy shit. And I'm thinking, what fucking, and then all of a sudden he goes, and he's like, you did a good job, and Lucy did a good job too. And I go, who's Lucy? And he goes, the girl you were with in the dream. And I go, yeah, but I didn't know her name was Lucy. I go, she was dressed like Little House on the Prairie. And he goes, yeah, that's how you dressed back then in them days. And I go, who's Lucy? And he goes, she's your friend. And then she goes, hi, Rich. She's dead. She's with Jesus right now. And she's sitting, I look at Lucy sitting there. She was in my dream, helping me kill these people. But here she is, sitting here beside Jesus, and she's all fucking tired and miserable. And I go, Lucy. I was trying to tell you not to kill the guy because the train was coming. And maybe the train would have hit him or lit up the whole area, and then we could have got the guy. That's what I was trying to tell you. But she couldn't understand what I was saying in the dream. And I go, well, this is what I was trying to tell you, just for the sake, now that I can tell you. And she goes, okay. She goes, you did good, Rich. You saved me because I don't think I could have killed him. And I go, you stabbed him in the fucking head with a bunch of pencils. And I go, why are you stabbing people? And then I realized, oh, I stabbed him too with pencils. And I go to Jesus, I go, why did we stab him with pencils? And he goes, because it's written. And I'm like, what's written? He goes, your past life. And I go, I don't remember no past life where I was dressed like this, like in the Civil War or something. And all of a sudden I realized, like, oh, my fucking Daniel Boone. And I go, so that was my Daniel Boone past life? And he goes, what? And he didn't even know. I'm going, Daniel Boone. Another Christ told me I was Daniel Boone. Everything I can't say to him, my wife's filling in, because my wife's been with me the whole time that I've been in the astral world hanging out. And he goes, you were Daniel Boone? I go, oh, yeah, another Christ told me that I was Daniel Boone. So he goes, holy shit. He gets up and he runs upstairs. And he runs up to, and I see him, and he runs up to this guy who has a big, important desk. And he goes, hey, do you get any records on Daniel Boone? And the guy's like, he licks his thumb, sifting through his fucking files and shit, like the record keeper or something, right? So he finds his records, and he hands them off to the Christ that's with me. He comes back down, and all I hear is, holy fuck, Why didn't nobody tell me this? I'm like, oh, you gotta read the bio, man. In the bio, I mean by every Christ I go to, every new Christ I go to doesn't know nothing about what happened to the last Christ, stuff with the last Christ. So they got to update, and I just call it my bio. He's like, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ. So he's going, well, was it that lifetime? And he goes, I'm checking, Jesus Christ. And he goes, and then he told me, he goes, I was Daniel. He goes, you were Daniel Boone. I has your name right here. Richard Marrows was Daniel Boone. So they write things on it. Other Christs that looked it up and found out more information. The Christ that found out the information that I was Daniel Boone wrote, Richard Marrows was Daniel Boone. Stuff like that, right? So I had this dream with this Christ who doesn't know anything about what all the other Christs are doing, unless they engage it, I guess. Found out that, yeah, I was Daniel Boone. And then, which is awesome, because that's more stuff for me, confirmation for me. Then, turns out, that in this war, but Alex Jones and my neighbor were just there for my brain. They weren't actually there. Well, maybe they were there, but there's no confirmation of it. So it was sort of like Alex Jones was my captain or lieutenant in this job I was doing to kill these bad guys for him, for Alex Jones. And then my neighbor, who was bad man to me when I was a kid growing up there at that place, in my mind was why I was killing him. Do you understand? In the dream space, in the dream that happened. Anyway, he goes, yep, that. And then I went to the bathroom, and all of a sudden I hear him yelling. They all start yelling, screaming. It turns out, yes, that the job I did in the Civil War or a war was the Daniel. I don't know what war it was. I don't know. But I was dressed like a peasant, you know. The fucking, you know them guns? You pack the powder shit, and you go, boom. And then you pack the powder, and you drop the ball in, you pack it down, boom. And that time I had guns and everything. That's when all in the dream, I had like the coon skin hat and fucking deer hide clothes and stuff like that. That's what all was in the dream. The girl I was with looked like Little House on the Prairie. And that was all in the dream. And the knife was an old bone knife. The handle was like carved bone or something. And like a buffalo bone knife or something. Anyway, all these things I saw in the dream, that's why it made me remember the Daniel Boone past life. And as soon as I said that, Christ looked it up and confirmed, yeah, it was. Because that's the only life I had where I was like that at that time. So, I go, oh, who's Lucy? I'm sorry, Lucy, but who's Lucy? And he goes, she's your friend. And I go, from back then? He goes, no, she was just with you in the dream. She was just helping you out in the dream because she wanted to dream with you. And it ended up where you two in the dream were reliving an experience from your own past life. Your Daniel Boone past life. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, holy freaking me out, man, how this stuff works. And he goes, I didn't even know. He goes, I knew you had a past life where you were killing in a Civil War type thing. I don't know if it was a Civil War, but it was something like that. And there were slaves running around, and we were in the woods, but it was on the railroad tracks in my dream. Anyway, at my old home. See, my old home was and where we were dreaming, killing the people on the railroad tracks. Because the railroad tracks, in reality, ran behind my house. Ask Dan, he's on Facebook. Ask my cousin. He was there 1,000 times. Lived there. Basically my brother. And we were all playing on the railroad tracks, having a good time all the time. Where I lived in reality here. But in the dream, I was fighting the Civil War in my backyard at my old home. My new home is in Christianity for what happened in the next video I'm going to tell you, but I ain't doing it right now. So anyway, turns out Lucy is my friend in the spirit world. She came into me to have a dream, and she was my partner in the dream. And she was playing the partner that was my partner in the Daniel Boone. Christ said, he goes, Daniel Boone died from cancer, and it was lymphoma. That's what he said. And he also said I was an asshole because I thought that I did that specific job for money. So I was basically an assassin. I go, well, you gotta eat, right? Like too many jobs around, I guess. He goes, yeah, you joined, and you joined the war effort, or you did that specific job for money, and that kind of pissed Christ off. And I'm like, you gotta eat, right? Shit, you gotta eat. Times are tough. You gotta do what you gotta do. And I'm like, whatever. So, more confirmation on my Daniel Boone dream from another dream of my Daniel Boone past life. Gave me more confirmation. He said I did it for money, that pissed him off. And I died later from lymphoma. He's digging out right now more little goodies about that lifetime and stuff. Now, as I was getting out of the bathroom, they going to make my coffee. He goes, oh yeah, also, you were a Nazi prince. And I'm like, what? He goes, you had a past life as a Nazi prince. In 1941, you were born in 1941, and you became a Nazi prince. And you died in 1942. And I go, how did I die? I gotta ask, right? I go, how did I die then? Fuck. And he goes, you were blown up by a bomb. So I guess they bombed where I was. I was 2 years old. I was born, lived for 2 years, and I got blown up. And I guess when I was born, somehow my dad died, and he was a prince, or something, however it works. He was a prince, and then as soon as he died, wherever he died, I became a prince, and I was 2 years old, and a bomb fell on our house and blew me up. Christ said, you were at the wrong place at the wrong time. And he said, if you would have lived, you would have been a Hitler Youth. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I can't even see that. And he goes, yep. And he goes, but the thing is, he goes, I know you think you wouldn't do that. Neither did the people that were there. They didn't know that they were going to do that. And like most of them, they just ended up in a fucking war. They didn't even understand politics. They just they had to do it. They had to go. And he said, also, this kind of freaked me out. He goes, when you were a baby, 1 and 2 years old, you were dreaming. He goes, you dreamed of being your life would have been, if it would have continued in the war and everything. He goes, your dreams were to be a submarine captain, a U-boat captain. And that was your dreams. That's what you wanted to do when you grew up. You know, like you ask a little kid, what do you want to do when you grow up? I want to be a fireman. Well, my dream was to be a U-boat captain. But I got blown up at 2 years old. He goes, your dreams were to be a U-boat captain. And I'm like, shit, really? And I'm like, how do you know that? He goes, because it's written in the book. Oh yeah, the book. I forgot about the book. So he can tell me what I was dreaming about when I was in that lifetime, because it's written there. So write everything down. Anyway, I thought that was cool. And the fact that when I was stabbing the guy, it was pencils. And I asked Chris, I go, why was I stabbing him with pencils? And he goes, because it's written. And he goes, and I'm like, holy shit. It's like, little tiny things, in your dream mean so much. It's written. It's written in Christ's big book of details. Anyway, of past lives and shit. Pretty cool stuff, man. And that happened this morning, but my next video is going to be about what happened yesterday. And that's huge, and I got a lot of good stuff coming. So I got a lot of material coming, boy. So, just to round this up, Lacey, my friend who's dead, came in my dream, helped me out in my dream, just to dream with me. And we ended up back in a war where I was Daniel Boone, reliving Daniel Boone's past life, but the dream was in the present layout, but I was acting and repeating what was happening from my past. And all this has to do with my problems with my neighbor and Alex Jones. Alex Jones is like, 1742 or whatever, and he's like the captain of it to me, I guess, in my psychology. He's like the captain of America, and we gotta fight the commies or whatever. And so in the dream, Alex was the captain. My neighbor was the bad guy because I hated him in this lifetime, and I like Alex in this lifetime. And Alex hired me to go kill the bad guy, the commie bad guy, the anti-life neighbor of mine. And fucking crazy. See how that works, man? And here I am killing them with pencils, and it's written. And I got that from Grace when I woke up. Awesome stuff, man. So I got a lot. I'm gonna make this dream probably later on, just for the fact that there's so much I gotta remember from yesterday. It was a big day yesterday. So, all right, guys. So, look up Daniel Boone and read the book. I guess there's a whole bunch of YouTube books on there. I have one. I'm slowly listening to it, but I haven't listened to it in like a year. But I have a past video all about the Daniel Boone, how I found out I had the past life of Daniel Boone. It's a past video. It'll say past life, and it'll have a picture of Daniel Boone. And I go through how I found out I was Daniel Boone, because I didn't even know. Christ told me. Christ gave me a gift. He goes, here's a gift for you. Well, I had the dream. Christ, I wake up from the dream. Christ goes, that's a gift for you. The dream was a gift for you. I'm like, what? He goes, you're Daniel Boone. That was you. Oh, holy shit. So anyway, check out that video if you can find it. Just surf down, look for Daniel Boone's picture. And that's supposedly been me. I don't know nothing about it. Other than this is the first dream I had where I actually dreamt I was Daniel Boone, but I wasn't Daniel Boone in the dream. I was just a guy. But it turns out that was Daniel Boone. Anyway, crazy stuff.